Hello, and welcome to today's webinar on developing and managing client relationships. I'm Sally Dyson, and I'm the Director of FirmSense Limited. Do client relationships matter anymore? I feel I need to address this elephant in the room before talking about how to enhance relationships. Hopefully, I'm preaching to the converted as you're watching this webinar, but I would also understand if you're feeling disillusioned. It is my contention that relationships matter very much in professional services businesses. They are relationship businesses. But client needs don't stand still, and the nature of those relationships has changed over time, and you as providers do have to adapt. So I'm going to take a look now at some of the current trends and pressures impacting client relationships. And what clients are telling me is that actually sometimes it's the value-added services that really differentiate one firm from another. I've spoken to buyers of services who will say to me, I couldn't survive without the value-added services that they give. I couldn't survive without the intranet or the secondees or the legal alerts. So this is a way of differentiating yourself and building up the relationship and binding clients to you. Now, this talk is of course about client relationships, but I would urge you to think much more broadly than just about prospective clients when you're building your network. For example, you might want to have referrers or suppliers or potential business partners in your network. Is that with social media, you've got to interact. You can't stay a stalker for too long. That means just viewing and not doing. So depending on the platform you're using, you have to like, reply, comment, retweet, ask questions. It's even better if you can create your own content. This is where you start to show that you're really interesting. You can differentiate yourself and create your own voice so that people really want to follow you. And of course, hopefully, they will actually want to meet you and engage with you in person. Your goal from a networking event should be to find a few people who you'd like to stay in touch with and then get permission from them to stay in touch, get their contact details so that there can be a follow-up. If you haven't done that, then the networking event has really been a bit of a waste of time. Let's talk about conversion. Conversion is the process whereby your contacts become clients. Now, occasionally you will meet people who are just ready to buy right away. And it's wonderful when that happens. And it's happened to me. Not long ago, I went to a legal awards event and I met a former colleague I hadn't seen for years. Within days, we were finalising the details of a project that I was to do for him and his firm. It does happen, but not every day. This is a step I've called give. And by give, what I mean is that if you can give your contacts something valuable with no strings attached, then they will get to see your true quality. They will get to see that their relationship with you is worthwhile. Over time, they will trust you and your advice, and they will be much more likely to want to become a paying client. So what sort of things do I mean by give something? You've got a really wide choice. You can be creative about it. If you've written an article, you might send it along saying, I thought you might be interested in this. If you've gone so far as to write a book, well, perhaps sending them a free copy. Don't worry if you haven't written a book. I'm sure you've read a book and you can perhaps make a recommendation. Here's something I read I thought you might enjoy as well. It might be that you introduce them to someone who could be useful to them. That's something that professionals and particularly lawyers, I've heard, overlook. I quite often hear business people saying, you know, they never think about being reciprocal. They never think of introducing us to new business. So that's a great way of giving something that makes the person appreciate and respect you. So think of different ways that you can give. Obviously not giving away all your valuable services for free, but think of types of things that you can give to try to win business further down the line. Well, you've won the business. Your contact has become a client. Congratulations. This is where the relationship can really take off and go from strength to strength. But strangely, this is the point at which a lot of professionals start to take their clients for granted. So we're going to talk about how you can nurture your clients so that you make sure that you maintain and grow those relationships. There's also some very well-known research by Bain and Company, which has shown that it costs about 7 times as much to win a new client as it does to retain an existing client. So it really makes sense to put some effort into looking after that relationship. It will pay dividends. What clients are saying all the time is that they want advisors to listen to them. They want you to listen more. So my mantra is, do set aside time for client listening. Even if you're having really regular interaction with your clients on transactional matters, listening to your clients is something different. There may be some things that the client is afraid to tell you to your face, even if, or sometimes because you've got such a good relationship, that they don't want to hurt your feelings or offend you. But it can make all the difference to taking the relationship from strength to strength. Or of course, you can engage a third-party client listening professional, such as myself. Sometimes clients really want someone who is absolutely neutral and distant from the relationship to be able to speak freely and candidly about their feelings. I say it's horses for courses, and indeed, as I've said, some firms offer a combination of approaches to their clients, actually being guided by what the clients themselves say that they would prefer. And why would you bother to listen? Well, you find out how you're performing, of course. That actually can be a huge confidence boost for you, because very often the feedback is highly positive. But if there are some niggles, and there often are some little things, you can find out about those before they start to erode the quality of your relationship, while there's still time for you to make adjustments that take the relationship from strength to strength. But you shouldn't think of client listening as just a backward-looking exercise. In fact, you can very much look forwards to find out more about what are your clients' needs going to be in the future. What are the changes happening in their industry, in their sector, in their company, in their department? How are their needs and preferences changing? In that way, you will be in pole position to anticipate and meet their needs, and again, to take your relationship from strength to strength and serve them optimally. Now, of course, you shouldn't use client listening to ask for new business directly, but as one partner in a large firm said to me, it's amazing how often you come away from these meetings and shortly afterwards get a new instruction. It's so easy for good intentions to evaporate. So before we finish, I'd like you to think about what it is you could do differently as a result of watching this webinar. And I'd like you to ask yourself whether you feel ready for change. What I've put on the slides here is an illustration of Prochaska's stages of change. This is a model for change developed by an eminent psychology professor. When I'm working with my coaching clients, I sometimes find it's useful to take a step back and think about where are they on this cycle of change. And so I'll invite you to do the same thing now. So in this webinar, we've confirmed the importance of client relationships in professional services. I still think they're the lifeblood of professional services. We've looked at a high level at ways of taking advantage of social media to grow your network, but we've also talked about the importance of real face-to-face networking and meetings and physical contact. I've suggested that you should select the techniques that you enjoy and that you can make part of your routine, because that way you'll stick with it, and so you'll actually do what you want to do. I've suggested that you should create regular opportunities for contact with clients, potential clients, referrers, suppliers. And also, I've urged you very strongly to continue nurturing your client relationships once you start working together. Do remember to listen to them. So whatever stage you're at, pick one thing that you could usefully do and take some action today. I hope you found this useful, and thank you very much for watching this webinar.